But my point is, the corporate media has brainwashed these boomers of being afraid of their neighbors and to hate workers, as you guys see in that clip. Now, there was many examples. That's the one I played earlier, and I definitely wanted to lead that segment with that. But this have great consequences. But let's get into this article. This is written in Media Matters, where they I like this article because they gather all the examples, at least a few of the examples, and they explain what's going on for the people who have been paying attention. And people like Brooklyn Dad and a lot of blue shit liberals on Twitter like, let's fucking go! We crushed the workers! Let's go!
So stupid.
So unbelievable. And that's because of the mainstream media. Feel free to interrupt anytime, CJ.
Go ahead.
Here's the article, and I got a particular part I want to get to where I show a lot of examples. So I'm gonna kind of skim through this. Mainstream media let railroad companies off the hook for a potential strike. Outlets are largely placing responsibility for economic consequences of a shutdown on unions, despite rail corporations' failures to meet workers' demands. That is exactly what we were saying. And remember the analysis we did through the World Socialist website, where this is a moment where the bad guys in any pro-worker society will obviously be the rail bosses. But the only reason why people think otherwise is because we have capitalists who bought and they control critical infrastructure. This is why your central planning model failed. They control the media. So now you got the capitalists feeding a capitalist-based message to the populace. This is what I tell you guys. We have to brainwash our kids as socialists, as Marxists, because if we don't, the state will. That's the reality of the situation. We got to create our channel to pump out pro-working class, unapologetic propaganda, because if we don't, the capitalists will have a monopoly on this. That's why I had to start RBN. That's why it's important to have Marxist and socialist media. Because this has worked. I'm going to get into this here later. This worked. I'm going to read the first few paragraphs, and I'm going to scroll to the part where they give more examples of what the media did. It said, after the latest proposed contract brokered by the Biden administration between railroad companies and workers was rejected by 4 of the 12 major railway unions, mainstream media has largely blamed unions for economic concerns of a looming strike. Reporting has often failed to include the context that railroad companies held up contract negotiations for 3 years. If watch any corporate media segment on this, it's been horrible. And their unwillingness to meet worker demands for paid sick leave and better time off policies, directly leading to the current standoff. So, and they explain exactly what the worker strike and what they've been going through. Over the course of the 3-year contract battles, union members have struggled with the corporation apparent opposition to benefits such as paid sick leave, which one union spokesman cited as a norm in their society. Rail workers has also described punitive attendance policies, no weekends, and a lack of routine or accurate schedules. And this is as they are making record profits. This is barbaric. Now, this is a few examples, and CJ, feel free to interrupt anytime. But here's just a few examples, and I'll pass it. We move on to the next part. CNN's coverage of the potential rail strike blamed unions' hesitation to accept an unfair contract for a possible economic fallout. You had on November 22nd, Don Lemon asked Smart Transportation Division President Jeremy Ferguson about the union's plan for the next step in negotiation, suggesting that a potential rail strike could affect Christmas presents arriving on time.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. They weaponizing the holidays. The show did not interview anyone from the railroad corporation side to question them about their responsibility. In a corresponding segment the same day on CNN Newsroom regarding the impacts of a potential rail strike, CNN reporter Matt Egan described a potential strike as a mess. Not even hiding his bias. Not even one bit. That's why I come on RB. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna talk all story Marxist shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck y'all think about, but I know what they do. That would be the last thing the economy needs right now. Yes, I had I'm on TV here. Whenever I'm preparing my segment, I have corporate news on just so I see what they're saying. And I've seen so many segments where they say the same thing. Last thing the economy needs right now. I'll read the last two bullet points. I think
I got some receipts for this segment too. So
all right, cool. I'll just read the last two bullet points and I'll pass to you, CJ. And I'll leave the rest of the article to the audience. On November 29th, anchor Jim Studio asked Michael Baldwin, the president of
Oh yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know who that is at all. Brotherhood of Railroad Signalmen. I tell you, I do eyeball on corporate media, but I only choose the best. Like I watch Morning Joe because Morning Joe, they're probably getting the next level. Most of the people I can't stomach. But anyway, I'll leave off that. So he asked Michael Baldwin if the union would be willing to accept Jesus fucking Christ. So he was like, are you guys willing to accept the responsibilities of destroying the economy?
And I think he said yes. I think that guy said yes in that interview. I think he does.
Wow. So this is the question. Are you aware of the economic impact of this? It is a little less than a month right before Christmas. Are you guys trying to ruin Christmas? This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable that boomers watch this shit and it doesn't click. I mean, I guess it does for a lot of them. I apologize for ageism in that comic. A lot of them do quit. But the ones who still watch it, how did they not see this? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Because it's the easier route. Can you think you're a boomer and it's time for a revolution? You ain't be like, nigga, I ain't trying to live through no damn revolution right now. That's got to be what you're thinking, or what some may be thinking. That could be a reason. But let's listen to Pete Buttigieg and what they do, Nick, as part of the corporate media, is they come on and they bring Democrats on so Democrats can give some pseudo-logical reason that they're being fucked over. And they're fucking that the Democrats is fucking over the worker, so they play shield in that way too, as a come here and explain, knowing damn well that this separate bill that they made, Nick, for the 7 days is literally not going anywhere. It's literally not. They know that. That's the reason why they separate it, because if they keep it in the bill, and it jeopardizes the bill from ever passing in the Senate. So they take the thing that they know is going to keep Republicans and other conservatives in the Senate from voting for it. They separated. Exactly. They did this during the BBB. And Breonna Joy Taylor, I think we may get to that video later, where she explains this. She's like, they did the same thing already, where they use the same thing. Oh, we voted for this amendment and it don't pass. And then they try to act like, oh, look at Republicans, not for workers, like what Chris Hayes did. But let's listen to this guy. I mean, and I got to just say, full disclosure, he's one of the people that I really, just looking at his face, disgusts me. So him and Hillary Clinton is just their faces just disgust me. Let's play it.
Secretary Buttigieg, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to get right to these two bills we have passing to the upper chamber. Is it the position of the administration that this deal should not pass without 7 days of paid sick leave for rail workers?
So the position of the administration is that we need to enact this tentative agreement and avoid the possibility of a rail shutdown. I want to make sure it's understood from a transportation perspective that a rail shutdown wouldn't just shut down the trains. It would effectively shut down the country.
This is doing exactly what you're talking about. They're here to say, go ahead. No, go out, because I want to
hear I'm sorry, I thought he was done. My bad. But so finish the sentence, Pete Buttigieg. So this could shut down the trains. This would be horrific for the economy. So the management should fold. Why is that not? That's how you should finish that sentence. But go ahead. You can continue.
That is exactly how the sentence should be finished. I mean, any logical person would think that's the case. And it's curious to me. That was an easy question to answer if you are pro-worker, right? If you are pro-union, pro-worker president, it's easier to answer this question. And I'm gonna replay it, because let me tell you what the answer should be after she asked the question.
Not pass without 7 days of paid sick leave for rail.
No, we don't think that. Of course not. Human beings, workers, should have some sick leave. So of course the Biden administration doesn't think this should pass without 7 days of paid sick leave. That's the response of a president that's pro-labor. That's the response of a president that's pro-union. Not this. Not to come send your your rat-like minions out to say this, spew this garbage, and give these logical reasons, trying to talk working class people into why you're crushing them into like it. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this comment from Zayden. This is a point we made on last stream, and if you guys ain't subscribed to the Revolutionary Discourse, you guys definitely should. I might segment this discussion I had on Marxism on there, because we had a discussion about Marxism with Zayden. He was there, and our friend Andrew and a few other people community. Well, it was interesting. We had someone call in, and it was a brilliant conversation because she didn't agree with Marxism, and it was her and some other person who called in, and we just sat and we had just a civil conversation. It was great. It was great because it wasn't an echo chamber. We were bouncing ideas off each other. So if you guys haven't subscribed to Revolutionary Discourse, you guys should. That was fun. We had like a 2-hour conversation talking about that. But anyway, this point Zayden made, this from the article we read yesterday. The main point here is the government isn't class neutral. Oh, there it is. That's Robin. I see Robin. I'll start your comment. This is the person who called in. I'll start her comment. The main point here is the government isn't class neutral. That's why we need revolution, to dissolve the capitalist government and establish a workers' government in its place. So I literally might do a segment on that because it was a really good discussion, even though we didn't agree.
I want to be in on it too, because that is a discussion because you and I, I'm going to bring this back up because we're talking about Marxists, because you and I were just falling over this article yesterday in this part. So let me read it again, because this is the Marxist analysis of it. The struggle of the railroaders and I'm glad you said Robin, so I hope that she's here to read
that's her. I'll put her comment. That's her.
So I'm happy she's here so she can hear this also.
Yeah, she wasn't apologizing for capitalism. She had an interesting take. She was more of a socialist, and we was having conversations. It was me, Andrew, Zayden, and it was a great conversation. Like literally, I might put it up. It was very civil. We was just bouncing ideas off. So.
Good.
Good.
No, in a good way, and I'm happy. And this proves like RBN.
That's why I reject the echo chamber. But sorry, go ahead, CJ.
Right, like when you are speaking to what working class people are feeling and the truths of their lives, that's why we have a balanced audience. Because that's what we're doing. We don't have anybody paying us. We don't have an industry paying us to push anybody a certain way. We're here saying this is what we see. This is bullshit. These are the people that are doing things against you. And people hear that say, okay, they're calling out everybody. So at least I know they don't have like they don't have anybody paying them off. Because they're saying everybody's corrupt. And this is what we should do. Now, even if they don't agree with our methods, they understand like we're not here trying to push you any other way, but then to like a better way of life.
Big shout out to Davis too. I don't know him. Davis is a African Marxist I talk to all the time. I'm calling very, very smart. That dude's smart as hell. Probably smarter than me, straight up.
No, I think I was on one time when I heard him.
Yeah, and he was Davis and I'm sorry, I don't want to get your name wrong. Davis and Robin had a long discussion. It was one thing that I literally might clip that from calling and make it as an RBN segment because that conversation was literally just that good. But anyway, CJ, go ahead. We should
analyze it on the show one time. Maybe
we should. It was a good. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
No, but you were saying it was a good.
Yeah, like maybe do that on the next. After I would clip it and then we can react to it.
Yeah, like clip. Like
actually, we don't have to do it. All I do is go to the show. And I know,
that's it.
I'll just go to when she called in. That's when the and I think we're gonna do that. It was a good.
I've done it before. I did it with the show that I did when I went on there with Afeni.
Yeah.
I did that. I just went to my account on here. I pulled it up and played it. Just like
it was one of those things I was doing that. Like, damn, I wish this show was on YouTube. It was a great conversation. Anyway, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah. So let me read this because this is what this is all about. And that is the struggle for the railroaders or the rail workers to win their demands have proved two fundamental elements of Marxism, which lay at the heart of its theory of class struggle. This is the first thing that it lays out, one of the elements, and that is it demonstrates the correctness of the labor theory value of Marxism. It proves that this situation that's happening, that the source of all society's wealth is the labor is the labor of the working class, and the source of profits is the surplus value extracted from the exploitation of workers. This is the economic source of exploitation in capitalist society. We're seeing it right here, and capitalists and their management class, we call them Congress, is coming in and say, oh, no, workers, get your ass back to work so we can continue to exploit you. And let me just read the second, I'm not going to read the more details, but I'll read the second point so we can keep this short. Second, it proves the character of state as an instrument of class rule. And you were just talking about this. This is the purpose of the state. The contradiction between worker and employer cannot be resolved by them. So the state is here to enforce what the capitalists want, the owner class wants. And here's a quote: the executives of the modern state. Marx wrote more than 150 years ago, the executives of the modern state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie. So just wanted to make sure we included that part. Awesome. So did she have a comment you wanted to throw up? I didn't see it.
Okay, I want to get to this part of the story as well. After you broke that, I want to finish breaking that down. Now, the reason why we have to call this out, and honestly, one of the reasons why I started my original YouTube channel, because I realized, and remember, this is when I was still part of the Bernie campaign. Even at that point, I was like, yo, this capitalist media is crushing us. And these social democrats not fucking helping. So I'm like, dude, we gotta get media. We got to install. We got to put our own working class propaganda information out there to counter the corporate media. Because there are a lot of people who disavow communism, capitalism on the quote unquote progressive media side, and that only helps the capitalist class, whether they know it or not. The CIA and the capitalists infiltrated unions, and they installed social democrats to be a suitable opposition to capitalists, because they saw the communists who organized the original worker rights that we got through the unions, and they was terrified of those motherfuckers. And then hence the red wave, the red fear, the fear monger, the McCarthyism, which we're going through again today. Now, I got into media because what the compilation that we showed you guys, despite how ridiculous it sounds to us because our mind decolonized, it got these boomers scared. I'm saying that because they're the only people that watch. Like when you look at CNN, like their prime demographic between like 17 to 50 is abysmal. Literally less than most independent media. Like 80% of their audience is 65 up. So I'm not being an asshole. That's the people who are watching, and that's the people who are polling here. Look at this new polling. Most Americans are scabs. And I know there are a lot of people who respond to this like, oh, Nick, you got remember polls are manipulated. The guys, it's not, I don't care. Like, these numbers should never be like this. It is the same with a lot of things. Like, the number for Medicare fraud should always be 90%. The fact that it's not, I don't care how they ask that question, we got work to do. So I'm sure they did some shady shit in this poll. But the fact that Americans still are bootlickers of this proportion is exactly why I got into independent media, and exactly why we got to continue to be aggressive, straight up. They're the same message I gave at the start of the defund police movement, where I was saying, yo, I don't care what the polls say, we behind that, I mean, we got to work harder, because there's no way we got to change our message that is correct. So here's the new polling. Most Americans are scabs. And an interesting point, that another theme that is breaking the minds of social democrats, Democrats are constantly proving themselves being to the right of MAGA Republicans. Yes, I said it. I showed you guys a poll earlier where moderate Democrats are to the right of people who consider themselves far conservative. So literally MAGA Republicans are to the left of liberals on criminal justice. Now, because of the two-party system and the fraudulent idea of one party resisting the party leader, now more Democrats are more anti-labor than Republicans. And don't get mad at me for saying it. This is from YouGov. So let me read it. I'll give you a reaction, CJ. Mm-hmm. Most Americans, 57%, will support Congress preventing a railroad strike by forcing railroad workers and unions to unions and management companies to adopt a tentative agreement that included some of the workers' requests. And that is because of the propaganda on CNN that we just showed you, that media just broke down. Democrats, guys, are much more supportive of this move. And now, to be fair, I do acknowledge this as well because it originated with Biden, a Democrat. Now, I bet you these numbers would be flipped if it was the other way around. We all know that. But let's just take it as it is right now, because the other caveat is irrelevant at the end of the day. As it is right now, Democrats are to the right than Republicans on criminal justice, on Ukraine, and on labor issues. Incredible. Now, Republicans, 54%, still not good, but that's a large chunk. That's millions of people we're talking about, hypothetically here. And shame on the 45% independent. Shame on them. I'm sure a lot of like, even if you're a libertarian, like who are those people? Libertarians are against this. Libertarians are against this because this is a government overreach. Who are these 45%? The fuck? Like, for real, who are they?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
I'm going off. So, do you have any reactions? Because we can. That's the last receipt I want to share on that segment.
Yeah. Oh, actually, let me. I put up the Pete Buttigieg video, but I forgot to play his response. So let's listen to his response, and then we can.
Go ahead.
We can wrap this. So here is his response to what she asked here.
Rail workers.
So the position of the administration is that we need to enact this tentative agreement and avoid the possibility of a rail shutdown. I want to make sure it's understood from a transportation perspective that a rail shutdown wouldn't just shut down the trains. It would effectively shut down the country. There is no navigation system for a freight rail system. So within a matter of days, you could see, for example, chlorine not reaching water treatment plants and people in American cities being told they have to boil water or use bottled water. We would see the auto industry effectively shut down within potentially a couple days at some facilities because they don't have that many parts on hand. We estimate about 765,000 workers would be laid off within 2 weeks of a rail shutdown taking place, and it would only escalate from there. So it's critically important to the national economy that shutdown not happen. Now, what we have in terms of what passed today in the House, soon after and very swiftly after Speaker Pelosi brought it to the floor, is a resolution.
So you see, soon after and swiftly after, he's trying to say, we came to the rescue, right? That's what he's trying. This is what corporate media is doing here. He's acknowledging the problem, not answering the question of the 7 days, instead saying all the problems is going to happen if we give those people what they want. All the problems here, if we don't force them back without getting days off work. And that's what he's sent to do here. It's sent to do here, Nick, on corporate media. And the same people are just going to go back and vote for these people. And this guy, Nick, is in line to be one of the replacements after Joe Biden's gone. This is the future of the Democratic Party. This guy shielding for rail bosses. And another point I want to make before we close this out. What I just read in that article.
Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
What I just read in that article is what he's just talking about. The theory of the value theory. This guy is just talking about what could happen if they allow them to go on strike. What could happen? They could shut down the nation. Isn't that proving the point of labor power and labor value? You can't make any money. How many industries will be affected? Go ahead, Nick. I think we're done.